Hi, I'm Angela Fehr. When I first started painting in watercolor, I would pore over watercolor magazines. We didn't have the internet back then, and so my watercolor information came from independent study and going through over and over again the watercolor magazines that I subscribed to. One of my favorite parts of the magazines, and also one of the most infuriating, was the workshop listings in the back of the book. You could go to places like France and Mexico and Spain and Australia and study with these acclaimed and renowned watercolor artists, and it just seemed like the trip of a lifetime. And so it was my dream to one day go on one of those trips. And then when I started teaching watercolor, probably a dozen years ago, it was a dream in my mind as well to be able to teach a watercolor workshop, teach watercolor workshops all over the world. And it seemed like a ridiculous idea. Here I'm this little northern girl who really doesn't have, the resources necessary to become a sought-after watercolor artist, and so it was never something that seemed within the realm of possibility. And here we are years later, and I'm so excited to be able to see this particular dream come true. Over the years, I've worked really hard to sharpen my watercolor skills, but also to strengthen my communication ability so that I can share and teach. And it became a passion of mine to be able to talk about what I was learning and share my light bulb moments. I don't know if I could be an artist who just worked quietly alone in my studio. I love being able to share what I've learned. And so it's so exciting for me to be able to plan with Arts and Cultural Travel my 6-day watercolor workshop in Ireland this September. In September, I get to jump on a plane with all my art supplies. I always pack goodie bags for my students and head off to beautiful County Mayo, Ireland to explore and experience this country that I've never visited before. I'm excited to see Ireland because it's full of history and beautiful scenery, and I love country life. I love the rural scene for painting. It always inspires me, and so I can't wait to look at similar aspects in a country that I've never visited before. And I love that I get to do that with a group of friends and fellow watercolor lovers. This workshop is open to 12 to 14 students, so it's a small group setting. We're going to be staying on beautiful Mount Falcon Estate. I've looked at the pictures, I've toured it in my mind a million times. I can't wait to see it in person, to set up my art supplies in the beautiful cabin studio on the property they've prepared for us, and to paint with you, exploring and experiencing Ireland together. If you know my painting style, and I know that you do, you already know that I'm all about intuitive painting. I want to paint the feeling of a place. So we're going to be getting those feelings out on paper as we tour the region as a group. We get to come back to the studio with our minds and hearts full of color that we get to throw on the paper, and just have a wonderful time together. And you don't have to come alone. The workshop is open to painters and their non-painting partners. My husband is trying to talk me into bringing him along, and I think I might have to do that. It just doesn't seem fair to explore the country without him. And I love that when I come home from a trip like this, my painting portfolio isn't going to be just full of paintings of a place, but it's really going to be like a visual journal and diary of where we've been, what we've seen and experienced. You know, I'm not strictly a plein air painter. I like to experience the place, to explore the countryside, and then come back to the studio and kind of process it in a quiet space with fewer distractions. That's my method, although we will try, weather permitting, to make time for plein air painting as well. And I'll be sharing some of the things I've learned that can make plein air painting a little bit easier and a little less pressure, because I think sometimes it can be really stressful. Arts and Cultural Travel has done a fabulous job of putting together an itinerary for us that's going to give us a real feeling for Ireland, and I get to show up and just put my passion into meeting your needs, my workshop students, building those friendships, and sharing what I've learned as an artist. Workshop situations are always a little bit funny because when I'm teaching, I want to I never really know what's going to happen. I come with an outline and a basic plan, and then from there we just kind of have to see where the muse takes us. We follow our passion. We look at different ways to approach intuitive painting, different ways to work on developing your personal style. Usually, at least once during the workshop, I make some disastrous mistake. I always have this pressure to paint a perfect painting when I'm demonstrating, and yet sometimes it seems like we learn more when I paint something that's not turning out, and we brainstorm how to problem solve, and then create maybe a better version following that big disaster. And I like being able to show you that even professional artists mess up once in a while. It's so much fun to teach a workshop as well, because there seems like there's little in-jokes that happen. We build this camaraderie between the instructor and the students with each other, and it's just so much fun. It does feel a lot like just getting together to paint with a group of friends, and by the end of the week, old friends, and ones who we want to meet again. And I always appreciate students who come to my workshops more than once. That's just the highest compliment of all. Come and join me in Ireland. This is my first international travel workshop, and that makes it really special in my books. Hopefully there will be many more, but this one is going to stand out as the first. It's going to be special in a really special way. And I don't know what that is, but I'm an adventurous sort of person who can't wait to find out. And I would love it if you could join me in Ireland and paint with me. I know we're going to have a wonderful time, and I would hate for you to miss it. Register today. Contact me if you have any questions. I'm happy to answer what I can. Sharon at Arts and Cultural Travel can get you any other information on the trip that you need. We're so excited to be partnering together for this workshop. It's going to be such a wonderful luxury to paint and travel together, and I would love for you to join me. Come and paint with me in Ireland.